Let's foray into Nevada's wild spaces. This is a half-an-hour adventure with the Nevada Department of Wildlife. This is Nevada Wild.
Here on this mountain top, I got some wild, wild life. I got some news to tell about some wild, wild life.
Welcome to Nevada Wild, brought to you by the Nevada Department of Wildlife. I'm your host, Aaron Keller, joined by co-host Bobby Jones. Special guest today in the room, Matt Maples. He is the division administrator over our Data and Technology Services division. Thanks for coming in, Matt.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me in.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have Matt. It's the busiest time of year, safe to say, right? Busiest time of year for you.
Pretty safe, yeah.
Yeah, we're in the middle of our big game application, kind of coming to the tail end of it, actually. Lots of discussion about big game application, strategy, things like that. We've recorded, I think, 4 or 5 podcasts over all the different species. Pretty much what we talk about all day, every day this time of year. Bobby was throwing together some numbers, and we're like, well, we should just definitely get Matt in if we can. We recorded a great podcast a year ago. Still all very relevant information. So if you want like to double down on listening to podcasts, just pull that one up, and we'll probably link it in the description of this one. But how's it been going? Let's start with that.
It's good. It's going really good. We have some extra days in the application period this year, so we've given hunters an extra week or so, I believe, to get their applications in. Apps are due by 11 p.m. May 13th, so coming up real quick here. Still some time. We've got a commission meeting May 8th and 9th, where the commission will be setting the final quotas for this year's hunting season. So some people choose to take a look at the final quotas and adjust application strategy based on that. Oftentimes there's some changes between what the department's recommended and what the commission approves. And those that are in the know and paying attention, may take a look at that final commission regulation and make some adjustments to their applications, because things can change a little bit. We're going to run the draw later this month, and results will be released on or before May 29th.
Yeah, we've been watching. We have a dashboard that we watch, and we can kind of see as applications are coming in, and it's been kind of a little hard for us. Not hard, I guess, but it's been funny to watch that, because we have 6 more days in the application period, and we know that hunters that apply for big game in Nevada are procrastinators. So we know by our experience over the last however long we've been able to look at this, is that in the last like 4 days it really climbs, and but yeah, over the last few days we've seen it kind of start to tick up, and so the pressure is on at this point.
Yeah, it's the applications per day is coming up pretty good. But typically what we see, like you said, Aaron, those last 3 or 4 days, I mean, we may go from 4,000 to 5,000 applications a day early in the application window to 50,000, 60,000 right. applications a day. So yeah, people procrastinate. Some people wait and see what the recommended quotas are, wait and see what the final quotas are coming out of the commission meeting. And so yeah, those last 3 days it gets really busy.
Yeah, I think it's also a testament to how smooth our system runs. Can you kind of go through a little bit, like, I don't know, you don't have to get into the details too much, but like how it is to apply in Nevada, or like what are some of the steps?
Yeah, it's real easy. My view and what we consistently hear from hunters is they like the way our system is put together. You go to NDOW licensing, apply for tags, enter in your residency information, and then you can make your hunt choices, either using kind of a menu on the left-hand side that shows the units, or you can select them from a really nice map on the front page, and so people can see exactly what they're doing. Once you select your species, you get shown that map view, you pick your unit groups, and then that pulls up another menu where you get pick your weapon choices in your season. So whether you're going for an illegal weapon tag or an archery tag, you make those selections. It shows you your hunter choices as you're moving through the application process, and then you submit and move on to the next species.
Yeah, the homework that you can do beforehand, just to kind of take one quick step back, is like we've talked about in the last like 5 podcasts. Is like go to ndow.org, click on top 10 resources for big game, and you'll be able to do all your homework. You can get all these bonus point tables and all this great information. Once you get to NDOT licensing and you're on this map, it's like it's very quick to be able to put your choices in, and then you're done. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. All the time comes in kind of selecting your choices and determining the order of your hunt choices. You know what you're going to have as your first choice, and then so on and so forth. At least that's where I spend my time. I know I've got kind of either a spreadsheet or scribbles on our reg book. Kind of depends on what kind of mood I'm in, and then I go from my notes. And by the time I'm ready to put them in the applications, it's a couple minutes and you're done.
right.
I don't know if it's a credit to us or Gordon Darby, but I really appreciate that my last year's choices are saved in there. Not because I don't have an idea of what it was, but just to know where I finally landed, because I like to tweak them kind of the last couple days. I'm one of the weirdos waiting for the quota recommendations to be finalized, but just kind of tweaking stuff and to find out, hey, what did I do last year? And everybody gets to see that. So for those that know exactly what they want to do and it's the same every year, you just click right on through.
Yeah, if you're not making adjustments from your previous year's applications, it's super fast. I mean, you're done. You just use your choices from the previous year, and you're on your way.
Yeah, so what these guys are talking about is what we like to call the easy button, right? So it shows you last year's choices. Yep, stick with last year's choices. My dad loves that option. So he's like a guy that's very much in the rut of like this is what he wants to put in for where he wants to hunt, and so he loves that part.
And you can adjust them too. And so even if you select use your choices, it'll bring them up, and then you can continue to modify. So you can, like Bobby was saying, you can see exactly what you did last year, but that doesn't lock you into those choices at that point. You can remove a choice, add another season, or another hunt choice, and still tweak what you did while still getting the benefit of the easy button.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to submit your application sooner than later. Get it in, and you can always adjust your choices. You can log back in. If you're, and we've said it a bunch of times, if you're talking to somebody at the ball field and you're like, hey, where'd you apply for? And they give you a hot tip, you can always go back in and adjust and add choices or whatever you want to do. So
Yeah, Nevada's kind of unique in that we allow you to modify your application right up until the very end. And unless you're going to withdraw or really change something up, as long as you're just adjusting hunt choices, you can do that right to the end. You don't repay the application fee or anything. You just get in, adjust your choices, and so you'll see a lot of people get their choices in. They submit an app, then they'll pay attention to the commission meeting or get a hot tip from a buddy, go back in a few days later, right up to the deadline, and adjust those hunt choices.
I think the only caveat is if you buy a bonus point, you can't then switch to choices.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. That does require you to withdraw an application and then reapply.
yep. And then Nevada is, over the last handful of years at least, the number of opportunity, I guess, hunt opportunities or application number is like going up and up and up. It feels like.
Oh yeah, yeah. We just added it up. You've got potentially, if you're interested in hunting all species, and you're gunning for silver state tags or PIW tags, which are partnership and wildlife tags, you can have up to 27 different applications per person. Some of them, of course, are pretty long odds. Quotas for silver state PIW tags are pretty low, but those are like golden tickets. I mean, you've got a lot of flexibility in where you get a hunt and the seasons that you get a hunt. There's differences with each of those programs as to how flexible they are and where you can and can't hunt and the time of year and the weapon. But in general, they provide a ton of flexibility, really amazing opportunity for an everyday hunter to have, essentially the equivalent of a heritage tag. That's kind of how the silver state tags are modeled. And you put in for all those, up to 5 different opportunities for elk, counting, antlerless elk, spike elk, depredation hunts, 6 opportunities for a sheep tag this year, assuming you're not in a waiting period for one of the tags. all kinds of opportunities. Guy at the office and I were talking earlier, and there's always this, oh man, my buddy's always asking me how, why is this person getting all the tags, or why does that guy get a tag every year? And when you look at it and you start talking to those individuals, it's because one person is putting in for 2 or 3 applications. Maybe they got a mule deer hunt and a pronghorn hunt and elk hunt, and the guy that quote unquote is getting tags every year is submitting 15, 20, 25 applications, and every one you add, you've got a chance to draw.
Right, and when we look, we've done several big game application seminars, and you got from both ends of the spectrum as far as like people that don't know anything, people that are really in the weeds. But when you start really digging into the guy's application that has not drawn tags, it usually comes down to a few things. They're either picking units that are really hard to draw, and they're just picking a bunch of those, or they're not putting in very many applications, right? And so you can use the strategy of like some species putting in harder units, and then to make sure you get a tag, you go to some more of the opportunity hunts, the spike, the horn shortened ears, the cow, those type of things, and then you get a tag.
I've got one more person who doesn't draw a lot of tags is the person who puts in 10 apps a year, but they buy points for everything.
Really hard to draw.
Really hard to draw.
100% rejection at that point for the year.
It's a good long-term strategy, but eventually you want to start applying.
Right.
Yeah, and for some hunts, and I think we talked on this a bit last year around the same time, is especially for species like our bighorn sheep, do not buy bonus points for 15 years or 20 years and then start applying for an actual hunt and expect to draw. The number of people trying to get those tags versus the quota is, there is a big difference between the applications and the number of tags that we're able to issue for those species. And so you need those every year, even if you've got, a 1% chance of drawing or a 2% chance of drawing or less. You need 20 years of applications while accumulating the bonus points in order to have a better shot at drawing that tag. 1 year or 2 years at a high point level is nowhere near as effective as 20 years of consistent hunt applications.
Yeah, it's I guess you're not going to draw if you don't play, right? So
When you brought up something really fun last time, Matt, that I wanted you to kind of reiterate was talking about how people say it's a desert bighorn sheep tag that they're applying for, and what you saw in the data of what that was kind of coming down to for the people who were drawing and the people who you could say on paper could have drawn, but how they structured their application they didn't.
Oh yeah, and so we kind of did a deep dive on that a while back because we were getting questions on it, and we like to kind of track how hunters are applying for tags, with it in mind is like, what can we do, what can we provide as far as educational resources to help folks out, help them be more successful, give them the best chances that they have. And it was kind of surprising a year ago when we pulled some of this data, and this is specific to desert bighorn, is we had over 200 resident applicants didn't draw only because of their hunter choice selections, because of the units that they put in for, or the way that they ordered them. And so essentially what I'm saying is they had a low enough draw number to be in the money, but based on how they structured their hunt choices, they weren't awarded the tag. A number of those people only put down 1 or 2 or 3 hunt choices. And so it wasn't so much a factor of like, hey, I gave it my best chance with 5 choices and my number wasn't good enough, for one of those, or just the way the different, the draw iteration works, and depending on what others ahead of you in line put in. It wasn't related to that. It was simply you didn't put all 5 choices down, or you really misordered your choices is another thing that we'll see. That's another mistake. It's a little bit different than what you're talking about, but it is another mistake that we see. One hunter in particular, when we were pulling some of this data, had the 57th best draw number out of, a couple 10,000 applicants. So in the money for sure, but he only had one hunt choice selected, and it was one of the higher demand hunts in the state, so makes sense, right? His first choice was solid. But there's a lot of other really good desert bighorn sheep hunts
With a
out
second
there.
choice, he
Yeah.
probably would have drawn.
He could have drawn
Almost anything else.
almost anything else.
Yep.
Wow.
Because the 57, yeah, that's wild. That's
That
a
is
sad
wild.
story. So for all
I
of
don't
you at
wanna
home
know
who
who that
only
was.
have one choice, maybe, stretch it out this year and pick 2 or 3 and don't be that person.
Yeah, I don't want it to sound like I'm picking on the individuals that do this, because some people get it in their mind that's like, look, this is where my mom or my dad had their sheep tag, and I'm
just gonna wait.
I'm just gonna wait, and that's where I want to hunt, and that's what's important to that person. Like, totally great individual choice if that's kind of where you're at and that's the decision that you make, but you should make it knowing that, like, you're excluding yourself from potentially getting a sheep tag. These things are really sought after. Statistically, far more people will not draw the tag than will draw the tag. That's pretty self-evident. And so when you make those selections, and whether it's bighorn sheep or mule deer or elk or whichever, you only start putting 1 or 2 hunter choices in, and you're really limiting your opportunity to get a tag.
Right.
And you may be passing up some other really good tags in pursuit of that one unit.
Yeah, the way I think of it, I guess, I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I want to go hunting, and, part of the problem with trying to get the best tags in the state is if you wait long enough to get them and it's hot, or you roll your ankle, or whatever, right? Like, it's hunting. It's not, there's no guarantees. It's just, it'd be better to go more often and, have the experience.
Definitely with species like deer, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that all the time. Is I would rather have a tag in my pocket, even if it was a harder tag or a primitive weapon or something like that. I'm a guy that wants to go hunt. So, but we hear stories all the time about people wait and wait and wait just for the one unit, and then something happens, and you're like, man, you missed out on all those chances to go hunting and make memories and do the thing. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, wildlife and habitat conditions, weather conditions, it's all so dynamic, right? And so what could be a really good hunt one year under, really desirable conditions, say you're hunting one of our later season mule deer hunts, and man, when it snows early, it is just a phenomenal hunt. What if it doesn't snow?
right.
And so you may have, a really desirable tag, but then you don't get the weather conditions to really make it, the hunt that it's intended to be, or the hunt that other people have experienced, and you've given up a lot of other opportunity, banking on, that snowstorm that really kicks things off.
Yeah.
Or the weather conditions that make it that top tier choice.
Not to dig in too deep on your personal choices, but this year being a drought year, or not drought, but pretty dry year, did you change up your units a little bit this year, or are you pretty like a guy that kind of picks the same thing every year?
I go back and forth, and so I've got my units that I like, that I know or that I haven't hunted but I want to explore. But I keep tabs on shifting patterns of success rates, shifting moisture patterns, and so I look at the top 10 resources that we publish, because some of the units that I applied for 6, 7, 10 years ago that were really great units at the time, have maybe slipped a little bit, or maybe have been surpassed by some other units just based on fires, habitat conditions, things of that nature. And so I tend to kind of keep tabs on the last couple of years of success rates, or if it's mule deer, the 4-point or better,
Yeah.
and really try to kind of take that into account. I see I see applications, or I talk with people that say, oh, this sheep tag is the sheep tag to have. Of all the desert bighorn tags, this is the one.
Right.
and I find that sometimes those individuals are absolutely correct, and then other times they're thinking about stories that they heard or photos of other hunts from 10 years ago, and things have changed a lot in some areas, in some circumstances, and that may still be a really good tag, but there may be some other units out there that, got better moisture in the preceding years and are kicking out bigger rams or have more robust populations today. And so you keeping current on your data, I think, is really helpful.
For sure, yeah. There's the sarcastic kind of comment about some of our check-in, like Bighorn sheep check-in sheets, is like, well, you're chasing dead sheep, right? And it is kind of true, but it's also like if you follow it long enough, you're going to see the trend. So
yeah,
they're kind of interesting.
There's trends, and then I don't say that to you. You're calling me out a little bit here.
Projecting forward or looking backward, right?
Yeah. So I'll divulge is just because the checkout summary shows that 5 out of 5 rams or 5 rams out of 5 tags, were all great rams. Doesn't mean that I'm going to put in for that unit.
Right.
I may look for the unit where it's like, yeah, there's
The
good
uptick.
sheep there, and like for whatever reason, maybe success wasn't as high, and so I'm going to play the contrarian card in this situation and have that on my list.
Yeah.
Not saying I do that all the time, but yeah, there are two sides to that. Is like there are kind of trends that you should pay attention to, but yeah, don't just chase dead sheep.
Yep.
And taking a step back, I don't know if we talked about it yet, but just, Matt, when you look at one of your applications, pick the species, how do you structure your choices, or what do you think about how that's going to look?
Great question, and we get this from a lot of hunters. We offer 5 choices, which is great, and we go through all 5 of an individual's choices before we move on to the next applicant. So if your number, your draw number puts you number 10 in line, we look at all of your choices, 1 through 5, in that order before we move on to the next person in line. And so I use 2 filters at kind of a broad sense when I structure my hunt choices. And one is, where do I want to go? What units do I want to hunt? What country do I want to revisit? What country do I want to explore that's new? And then I also look at the draw odds and really focus on, like, the harder a hunt is to draw, I want that higher in my hunt unit selections. And so if I'm picking a hunt that's, really high demand, 2% draw rate, 10% draw rate, I put that as like my first choice, my second choice, and then I move down the list so that by the time I get to my 5th choice, that's the easiest tag to draw based on draw odds. And that's really important because then I've got a shot with all 5 choices. We see applications where people will put, a archery hunt as their first choice. And by all means, if you just want to hunt, one of our units for an archery tag and that's what you want to do, put it as your first choice. If you're open to, or you want to also have opportunities for a muzzleloader hunt or any legal weapon hunt, or a later season hunt, a real high demand tag, don't put that as your 3rd choice or your 5th choice and have that archery hunt as your first choice, because you're never even going to get evaluated for that. If there's no tags, you're either going to draw the archery tag, or if your draw number is not good enough to draw an archery tag, you're certainly not going to draw a high demand any legal weapon tag.
Yeah, and that doesn't matter the species, right? It plays out the same way. And I don't think we touched on this either, but just you want to give people an idea of how the draw works in terms of where you get your spot in line. Like how that's assessed.
Yeah, and so with the bonus point system, we follow states. I apply in a number of states, as probably many listeners do. Our bonus point system, I think, is really good. It's not a true preference system. So bonus points, the way that the system assigns you your random numbers is bonus points are squared, and then you get 1 additional random number for that current year in the draw. So if you've got 3 bonus points for deer, you're going to have 10 random numbers. 3 squared plus 1, 10 random numbers. And certainly as you get into, elk or sheep or something where maybe you got 15, 20, 25 points, the number of random numbers you're going to be assigned by the system grows tremendously. Once each application, so your deer application, your pronghorn application, you get your 10 random numbers in this example for each category. The system looks at that table of assigned numbers and pulls the lowest one that you have, because the rest of them at that point they don't matter. If you've got 10 random numbers and you've got one of them is a 10 and the next one is 10 million, like the one that's a 10 is the only one that counts, and so those get pulled as the lowest number, and that's what gets evaluated. All of the applications with all the lowest random numbers get listed in order, and then the system just goes one after another in order, starting at 0, essentially, moving down the list. And when your name comes up, the system looks at your hunt choices and the number of tags that are still available for that hunt choice. And if there's tags available, you get awarded the tag. And here's where the ordering of hunt choices becomes important. Say with my first choice, there's no more tags available. I didn't have a low enough draw number to pull the tag. Then it goes through to my second choice, and it again looks at the remaining tags for that hunt and either awards me the tag or doesn't award me the tag, and continues through choices 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, and I like that you're going through that only because it helps frame up why your bonus points matter and how more is better, right? More points, more random numbers, more chances at a lower random number to get closer to the front of the line. And that's essentially, the closer you are to the front of the line, the more likely you are to get a tag.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, I think it's great when I've got low point balances, because that means I drew a tag in a preceding
That's what
year.
I said. I was joking the other day. I said, I hope I never get another bonus point.
But
Because that means I'm drawing tags.
It'd be one busy year.
I know.
but if that hasn't happened, then definitely way higher odds the more points you have. Like, I would rather have a lot of points than either not buy the hunting license and not get awarded the bonus point, or skip a few years or whatnot. Like, more bonus points always increases your chances to get a low number, which always increases your odds in the draw.
Yeah,
So-
always buy a license.
I was just
always
gonna say
get the
that.
points.
So one thing that people don't think, or there are some people out there that don't know this, but you have to buy a license to gain a point, right? To acquire points. So in Nevada, we do give people the option to say purchase only if successful. I wouldn't recommend that, but if you do need to save a few bucks, that's an option out there for them. But if they're unsuccessful, they won't gain a point. So
Yeah, if you're not going to get awarded a tag and you're going to be unsuccessful in the draw, you definitely want to get a point.
right.
That
And
way,
they start playing the game and just
yep,
building points.
the next year you're going to be ahead, and the year after that you're going to even be more ahead. So
Yep. So, Matt, when you came in, you have a whole bunch of papers in front of you. I don't know if we've gotten to everything you've wanted to get through, but we have.
Oh, we haven't gotten to a quarter of this.
I know.
stuff yet,
So
as
we
a
have a few more minutes, but is there anything on there that's like low-hanging fruit? Maybe we should start or chipping away at some of this stuff. I know we got number of opportunities, draw, bonus points. Anything else on there?
yeah, I think one of the other things that we're kind of thinking about bringing up was we get questions from hunters that look at, so we publish all this data, right? Hunt success, draw odds. One of the tables that we publish is some bonus point distribution data. So how many bonus points, number of people with that number of bonus points. And the question that we occasionally get, especially kind of thinking about sheep tags or, antlered elk tags, is we'll get someone that calls in and says, man, why are all these people with like 10 to 20 points drawn tags? I've got 25 points, and like there's no one got a tag with 25 points or more. All the tags, and maybe it's a lower quota unit, goes to everyone in this like 10 to 20 bonus point category. Like, what gives? And it's really a factor of like the sheer number of people in that middle bonus point class. And so it's very much a bell curve, particularly with sheep. is like we have got a lot of people in that 10 to 20 bonus point range, and their individual odds of drawing a tag are way, way less than someone with 30 points or 28 points. Like, that's just math. That's just how the system runs. Like, there's nothing that's going to change that. But as you get into that 20 plus bonus point category, particularly for sheep and elk, like, there's just fewer of you that have that many points. People have aged out. They've drawn tags. You know, they're no longer interested in going after, you know, a sheep tag or whatever the reason is. But there's a sizable quantity of people with lower bonus points, and so the way that kind of comes across as, hey, there's more people drawing tags with 10 to 20 points than with more than 20 points, is, you know, there's way more people, and so collectively as a group they get issued way more random numbers, and that increases the odds that some of them are good enough to draw tags. Individually, their odds of drawing a tag are far less than the individual with 25 or 28 or 30 bonus points. And so it's not to say, I think people look at that and they're like, well, you know, there's really no advantage to having more than 15 bonus points. And like, it's mathematically incorrect. People don't like to hear that, but like mathematically, it's just not, it's not true.
You do not want to trade places if you have 25 points with someone with 15 points.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely not. It's just that there's a lot more people with 15 points than there are people with 25 points. But the guy with 25 points has got way better odds of drawing the tag.
I mean, I'm not the best at math, but that makes sense to me. Like, like there's way more people kind of in that middle of the bell, right? If you think about a big bell, way more people in the middle. There's, you know, fewer people on the low end, fewer people on the high end, and like the masses are going to get the larger quantity of the tags.
But the cool part is no matter where you're at on the bell curve, you've got a shot. Like even with
Right.
the 1 point or no points, you've got the one number. If your number's low enough, you're looking good.
And that's one of the things I personally love about Nevada's bonus point system is you get rewarded for every year that you are unsuccessful, and you get a bonus point, and you get more random numbers. And like we've been talking about this, we all agree that's a good thing. But the person coming in fresh, it's got 1 point or 2 points, they're still in the draw. They can still draw the tag. They don't have the draw odds, you know, quite as good a draw odds as the person with 20 bonus points, but like they're still in the draw and they could still get that winning ticket. And so I think it's really, really cool. It's a good system. You reward people that, you know, have been applying with us for many years, but the people that are brand new still have a chance at drawing the tags, and we see it every year. And that's also where some of these questions come from is, you know, the person sees, man, I have 25 points, and, you know, some guy with 1 bonus point drew a sheep tag. Like, what gives? And it's like, well, there's, you know, 3 of you with 25 points that put in for this unit, and there's 200 or 1,000 people with less than 6 points that put in for this unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so your individual odds were really, really much better, but collectively as a group, it just happened to go into a lower point class because there's a higher number of people there. We pulled some data on sheep, and I think to demonstrate this point, you know, customers in the 26 plus bonus point category receive many thousand percent more tags than those in the 0 to 6 category.
Yeah, it's that part when you threw out that number earlier was hard for me to wrap my head around. You're talking exponential odds of drawing over somebody that has less than 6 points.
Yep.
So pretty wild. Anything on your notes, Bobby, that you want to touch on before we?
I think I just had the one plug for non-residents that I wanted to get in there was if you know young people that might want to hunt here in the future, a pretty inexpensive non-resident youth hunting fishing license for $15, get them going, get them started. The other thing, just non-residents in general, when I'm talking to hunters that call in and they're talking about how many points they have and things, I think, you know, sometimes maybe they have a long-term strategy for Nevada and they want to draw the best tag if they're going to go out there. And I would encourage people to look kind of at the middle tier. It often gets overlooked to kind of their detriment. It's a 90-10 split, so about 10% of the tags are going to non-residents, no matter how many tags there are overall. And I just think our middle tier hunts, even you could call them lower, but really high quality hunting experience. And especially if you have the time to dedicate and can spend a good amount of time in the field, I'd encourage people to apply for some of those hunts and take a shot at it, burn the points.
Yeah, and we've spent a bit of time today talking about, cheap and really high bonus points and these high demand hunts. And we touched on it earlier, but I would not want to walk past all the cool opportunity hunts that Nevada offers, because that's how you get to go hunt as many years as you can while you're waiting for that, once in a lifetime sheep tag. Fill all those in between years with some cool opportunity hunts. Get out in the field with your family, with your friends. Go enjoy Nevada, have a good time, bring home some meat. There's all kinds of really neat opportunity hunts that are easier to draw, and still get you out having a good time.
For sure. Like the strategy there is to, swing for the fences, and then also kind of hedge your bets a little bit, and like hopefully you get a tag and you're out in the field with something. I would also encourage people to not shy away from primitive weapons. Like there's a lot of stuff in Nevada, a lot of hunts that are super fun, great time to be outside out in Nevada. You can mix it up with fishing, you can upland game hunt, you could do like a bunch of different things all at the same time. September in Nevada is my favorite time to be outside. So I've definitely skewed all my choices to be in September. So that's for a bunch of different species, but particularly for deer, I love being outside in September.
You just said you're out of office for 1 month.
I
all of
wish.
September.
I wish. I wish. That's the goal every year, but and then I didn't want to skip over that, Matt, your job in the department, we've talked about it on podcasts before, is, you handle the call center, so you handle the boat desks, all that type of stuff. Just so I don't mess it up, what is the phone number that people call if they have questions to ask?
It is 1-855-542-6369.
That's the hardest trivia question that I'm going to throw at you.
Why I put the book right in front of me, because I just thought maybe it's coming and I wanted to not mess it up.
Right. So you're in charge of that, all that stuff. And are there any other frequently asked questions before we wrap it up that are getting thrown out?
We get quite a few of them, and we went through. We published a bunch of them last year, I believe, as we went through, kind of pulled what is most frequently coming through the call center as far as questions that customers have. We got them written down. We provided answers to them. I think we were talking earlier, we'll drop a link to that FAQ in the show notes or whatever we got to direct those. It's available on the licensing website. You can find the FAQ on there, and certainly it'll walk you through some of what we talked today, and then also more of the nuts and bolts of walking through the application process. So step-by-step guides. If you're running into, something that's just not really panning out for you, it's probably answered in that FAQ. Certainly not to dissuade anyone from calling the call center. We're pretty highly staffed up right now, assisting people and making sure that whether they need help getting logged in or going through the application process, something like that doesn't trip them up. So we're staffed up. We've got people taking phone calls, helping customers. We'll be on that call center right up until the last second of the application period, and then probably even a little bit beyond. 11 p.m. is the deadline, and so we'll have that call center staffed with as many people as we possibly can right up until the deadline. So if you're on the way extreme of procrastinating, which I would not recommend you do, but if that's the situation you find yourself in and it's 10:30 on the evening of May 13th and you're trying to get in your application and you're running into trouble, you can call us and we will be there.
Yeah, when you say we and us, like it's actually NDOW employees
Yep.
on the phone. We're not farming this out to somebody else. This is our people answering the phone all day, every day, all the way up till the deadline, and super knowledgeable. They know what they're talking about. They can help you out. They have seen it before. So a lot of experienced people, and definitely appreciate all their hard work, because help tickets and things like that that come in, like there's some intricate stuff that goes on, and they definitely know, I mean, all the right answers for sure.
Yeah, we've got awesome people answering phones. Some of them, they spend a lot of their time answering phones all year long, helping customers with various things the department does, whether it's a licensing or a vessel question, something like that. And then, man, as we get towards the end of the deadline, boy, we pull from all kinds of people. We got biologists and people from Con Ed, all kinds of divisions that are knowledgeable about the application process, hopping on phones and helping out. So it kind of comes to an all hands on deck. A lot of real good energy, real positive. Let's get customer service. Let's provide really good customer service as people are calling in. And so it's kind of a cool process the last couple of days, and especially that evening. It gets pretty exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you are kind of an in-person type of person, we help out with getting applications in a few of our field offices, so Reno, Elko, and Vegas. But I would not wait until the end if you're going to do that. If you need help, come on in. We'll definitely help you out. And
yeah, we've got extra laptops set up at most, if not all, of our offices. And so if you don't have a computer at home, or you're just having some difficulty navigating the process, come on into an office. We've got a computer set up that you're free to use. We've obviously got staff that can help you out, answer any questions, sit down at the computer, bring in your paperwork, and get that application submitted.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming in, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bobby, for adding to the convo. And thank you everyone for listening. Again, that's ndoutlicensing.com, and the phone number to call is 855-542-6369, or go to ndot.org and click on hover on hunting, and then drop down will be top 10 big game resources. Tons of info there. Do your homework. Then when you go to submit your choices, makes it easy. And tag us in all your photos. Hopefully everybody's finds some success in the draw and has a great fall. So thank you everyone for listening. That is it for this week's Nevada Wild.
Join us again next week for our next adventure, Nevada Wild. It's a production of the Nevada Department of Wildlife.